All right, so since you're in the thick of your business article, I figured I'd give you kind of an overview how I look at the business article and how I look at assignments in general and how I do some of my revisions and rewrites in my own personal life. Okay, so take a minute to look at this document here. Okay, so if I were using that zoom rubric, the 10 feet, 5 feet, 2 feet, 1 feet, initially I would zoom out and take a look, are my paragraphs short? Do they fall within the guideline? Do my graphics fit in well? Are they easy to see? Okay, do I have headings? Sleep, exercise, nutrition, okay, breaks, that makes sense. Okay, and how's my alignment? White space, so I'd look at that 10 feet. So I zoom out here on Adobe Acrobat. If you don't have Reader, it's free. The professional version is free through BYU, so I'd go just type in Adobe whatever, Reader, and BYU, and it'll come up. Okay, so after I've done that, now I start to look at kind of the overall themes. This is when I actually start to get to reading the document. So I'll take a read through here. First of all, look at, do I have an attention getter? Okay, so we're talking about the 4 A's. Okay, first of all, the purpose, the audience, the strategy, and structure. Those have hopefully been defined pretty well within the document. But we'll look at the 4 A's initially. We look at attention. Self-care isn't easy for many people to practice, especially in the workplace. In fact, 63% then gives a factor. Okay, so I see that it's easy attention getters there. Agenda, and an agenda doesn't have to be so overt. Like, this document will say the following 3 things: 1, 2, and boring, right? So what you're trying to do with an agenda is kind of present your article, the overview of your article, in an interesting way, or in a way that you can understand what you're getting yourself into. So where's the agenda here? Okay, right here. What elements constitute self-care, and how do they lead to a better job performance? Not, this article will go over the following 3 things, right? And you can, what elements are they? Well, if I look, right, sleep, exercise, nutrition, breaks, okay, and those things lead to improve productivity. Okay, so I'm looking at, and then I will go into her argument. We're not going to go through all of this. This will be a short video, but I'll go into her argument and say, okay, so is she making sense here? Okay, and you can look at the graphics here. They kind of, even the graphics lead you through this document pretty well, right? Do the graphics make sense? Are the arguments? Are the arguments there? Okay, and she has good sources. So I go through these statistics. It's a solid source. Dissertation of progress. It's probably okay. Journal for Formulary Management. That's a good article or a good journal, etc. So are the things supported by your argument? So that's kind of your 5 feet. Now I'm looking at your argument to make sure it makes sense. Look through your headings and graphics to make sure that they walk me through the document appropriately. Okay, and then when I get down to 2 and 1, that's when I'll actually read it word for word, and then I'll go through, okay, are you linking paragraphs well? Are you introducing topics at the right times? That's when I really get into your argument. The 3rd A would be on that 2 feet, and that's when I read it out loud, go through it, highlight it, and then find things like, have a consistent spacing here, because you have paragraphs that aren't spaced correctly or whatever on that side. And then action. And okay, if you're looking for ways to increase your productivity, consider implementing these practices into your future self. Well, thank you. That's a very kind of innocuous conclusion, saying, instead of saying these things will absolutely change your life, saying if you're looking for ways to increase, consider try this out, which is actually a good way of concluding a document. So anyway, this is a pretty solid business article. This is how I grade it. And of course, the actual one you actually zoom in, that's when you're looking at grammar and style, and have you used the correct words? Have you avoided fluff? Have you not wasted everyone's time that reads it by trying to be fancy? Anyway, so that's kind of how I would go through and revise it. or when I would go through and grade your business article, and honestly, all of your assignments. Okay, so hopefully that was helpful. And if you have questions, comments, concerns, or maybe a snack, then go ahead and give me a call.